This is the video edition of my existential chronicling of my existence, proximate to the meaningful life I attempt to live and actually do live, more than what I just perceive, but what I experience in the subsequent moments of my perception that help to validate and verify it. This chronicling, most of all today, of what has been most meaningful and significant throughout my day involves the summiting of a small winter mountain, to which, upon surmounting it, there was a bunch of evergreen trees, so evergreen and wonderful. It brings the sentiment of Christmas to it, and the exploration of the next frontier, which is the Antarctic, as I quest on it and notice the many pebble-like and debris infused in the ice, crystallized with snow dust upon it, that really brings to mind how complex nature is, and how simply just giving things time within the temporality of existence and approximate to what is temporaneous, external to our perceptions of it and experience of it, that we sometimes often miss and don't always notice and recognize its meaning, but which has expansive meaning and towards the aesthetic appreciations that we have and our capacity to subsequently enact more expansive perceptions, actions, and behaviors in association with the aesthetics that, upon our awareness and which require our direct perceptions, which are working and more effortful and appreciative of the contents, and particularly more receptive to the meaning, sensitive to that meaning, and which elaborates it in thought, not just thought, but a situated thoughtfulness in which the existential ponderings help to bring to light the meanings resonant within our direct experiences, and which can expand not just our knowledge, but our capacity to feel forth and navigate in meaningful directions, not just feel what is more arbitrary and doesn't necessarily lead forth or has a directed, meaningful direction. And it is in these small winter mountains that we can summit and appreciate the complexity in each little crystal formation that can hold a collection of different minerals and fabrics within it, and different materials, component materials that have a material immaterial synthesis to them, that compose the structures of existence that have certain meaning functions to them, and that, like dust, have a near infinite range of possible configurations that combine in these microcosms all these different kinds and types of thingness and bits of things that are part of thingness. And my existential chroniclings for today, I want to leave off on the exploration of the wildy wilderness of our extended perceptions, engaged in embodying meaning and information as we experience the aesthetic extensions and augmentations that we can innovate upon and make life more meaningful through a dynamic playfulness that is temporary and kept within a mature frame. And by that I don't mean that there's a particular expectation of a specific, more exacting way to behave, but rather that's more open and that is rather tolerant and more focused on the meaning rather than meaninglessness. And actually what constitutes that maturity is to be able to appreciate what's meaningful and to not waste time on the arbitrary aspects of nature, and to focus more on meaningful communicatives and not meaningless communicatives, but waste time, but would also help to formulate the proper courses of behavior within good humor. And I mean that to its highest gold standard of substantiation of what matures the mind and the self in a more proper and virtuous direction, because a great portion of what is conducive to a mature person is their capacity to recognize humor and to appreciate differences of humor. And what, say, makes me laugh is not the same thing that makes you laugh, and we could be laughing for completely different reasons, and it's that laughter that helps us to recognize and also to connect more to what's more meaningful in existence by ironically not taking ourselves too seriously, or certain statements, utterances, or words that aren't as true in some sense as what we embody or what we directly experience in ourselves as existing existential entities that often seek, and which in doing so must necessitate an existential commitment towards meaning making. Otherwise, one can't necessarily say that they're living a meaningful life, or even in the practice and pursuit of doing so, because a great part of what helps one to live a meaningful life is settling on that and engaging actively in that meaning-making process, often through these imaginative, aesthetic immersements within our direct experiences that allow us to see that winter mountain and summit it. So that's all I wanted to say for this video.